Ah, my good and dear friends. This is Londo Molare, and I'm watching the Bad News Bards on Tennessee Tabletop Tavern. Have I ever told you you're very cute for a Mambare?
Well, hello there.
Hello, empty cameraman.
He has his invisibility spell on, clearly.
I cast invisibility. Here, I'm gonna cast up here. Ooh.
Nice.
I'm so proud of you for using OBS for that. That's just magical, buddy.
I know, right? I'm magic. So, anyway, this is going to be a series of shows that we're going to be doing periodically throughout the months. And I figured, actually, it was Cam's idea, I think, to start off with OSE, Old School Essentials. And considering that we're currently going through the backer kit has the Old School Essentials month, I figured, yeah, that's probably a good idea. So, what do you say, Dan? Cam?
Right out of the box, we should say we're not sponsored by Necrotic Gnome or Old School Essentials at all. We're just doing this out of love.
Yep, we're just here to hear.
Oh no, Jeff muted himself.
Uh-oh.
That's really funny. Nope. No, not working, buddy. Restream being restream.
No, that wasn't restream. That was my headset being old.
Oh, just like you.
Shut up.
Love you, buddy.
Also, happy Memorial Day.
Yes.
And happy birthday to my wife.
Oh, very nice.
Who is very nice in letting me do this and hang out with you guys. Otherwise, Cam would be talking to himself tonight.
She's like, thank God.
I hope she's feeling better.
She is. Yeah. Slowly but surely.
So,
all right,
Cam, you sent me some PDFs, and at some point, I guess I can bring those up. But I wanted you to go ahead. You said you wanted to start off with a background on how what you know about BX is kind of being the leader for it. So why don't you go ahead and take it from there?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm sure almost everyone who would watch the show is going to be familiar with Dungeons & Dragons from the TSR days.
Sure.
But just as a bit of a primer for someone who might not be there's
what's the first edition, really?
There you go. Dan is holding it up. The wood grain box. Is that an original or is that a repro?
Shit. It's a reprint. Okay. The originals are like $15,000. Are you kidding me?
Okay, because I have a white box original, but not that one. Anyway, that what Dan held up there is referred to as OD&D or original D&D.
Sometimes also called the Little Brown Books because
the LBBs.
The LBBs because they look like that.
Yeah, and originally there were 3 pamphlet-sized books, I think, and then they had 3 more expansions, I think.
4 more supplements.
4 more. Okay.
Blackmoor, Greyhawk, Eldritch Wizardry, and the Gods one.
And let us also not forget about the Arduin books that came out, which
that wasn't
remarkable.
TSR.
I know, but it looked remarkably like the LBBs. So,
Sure did.
wonder why.
Well, in any case, so the early days of was a bit of a Wild West thing. It came from a bunch of
Yes.
different sources and was kind of produced piecemeal, and then come around 1977, the advanced Dungeons and Dragons was in the works, but there was something that came out called the Holmes Basic Set, or sometimes called the Blue Box, which was the larger format box, and the first attempt to kind of corral things and make it a little bit more accessible for the audience.
Right.
I don't have one of those, and I didn't even know about that until only a few years ago. I thought that the basic set. There you go. Nice.
You're darn right, Roger.
Yeah, welcome, Roger. Now you threw me off. Oh, okay. So in 1970,
you were talking about Holmes Basic.
You're talking about Holmes Basic, yeah.
1977, they came out with this box set, and kind of 77 to 79, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons came out. I think the Monster Manual came out first, and then the Player's Handbook, then the DMG. And
so the staggered release thing is not at all new.
Which for the class
there we
of
go.
these.
Yep. Original
Best
covers.
TTRPG book ever written right here, by the way.
Yeah, excellent.
So.
And then come around. So now there was a split in the product line. It came up around this time. We don't have to go into all the issues there, but basically, the legal purposes or distinction, they separated Dungeons and Dragons from Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. There was a claim that they're separate games. They're very similar, of course, but long way of coming around to. They did have a distinct product line, and the one that we're going to be talking about tonight is based on the 1981 Moldave Basic Set, which Dan is kind enough to be holding up there. That's the original BX. So there in that series, the 1981, there was the basic, which went from level 1 to 3, and then the expert set, which is a blue box,
which I don't have, but I have this cool thing. So
is that both the rule books in one?
Yep.
Okay, cool. That's not the rules compendium, though, right? That's just
That's
just BX. Okay.
No, it's just a super secret hardcover.
Okay.
I had printed on Lulu.
Okay.
And there was slight variations between each, like the Holmes.
I think I'm going to say there was significant differences between Holmes, because again, Holmes was coming off of OD&D, trying to kind of corral all that. Okay. And I think the BX, the Moldave one, was really, more of a fresh start in terms of the Dungeons and Dragons line. So right. I would say that that's probably a fair way of saying that was the first of the Dungeons and Dragons end of the split, and then of course AD&D is the other part of that. And right. Then Jeff mentioned this thing called BECME, which is in 1983, the Menser basic and basic set, the red box with the Larry Elmore art that is so famous, which I unfortunately don't have a copy of, but
I don't
that was a line, BECME, which is Basic Expert Companion Master Immortal, was a 5-box set thing of the Dungeons and Dragons line, or the basic line, however you want to call it. Right. And that's very similar to the Moldave line. There are a few changes, but I'd say 95% plus similar for the beginning. And then, of course, because it had 5 boxes, they added a lot of material beyond BX. But all this is being talked about because BX, the 1981 2 boxes, are the basis for Old Skool Essentials. That's what it is, a retro clone of.
OSE Classic Fantasy.
Yes. Correct. And we'll get into that too. Since I've talked a lot, do one of you want to talk about the how the whole retro clone thing got started with the OGL and such?
Yeah, so back in 2006 into 2007, the first 2 retro clones were Chris Gonnerman's Basic Fantasy, which was kind of like BX, but it has its own spin on it. And then the big one that came out that really caught fire was Osric, which was Stuart Marshall and Matt Finch made the Old Skool reference and index compilation. It was just meant to be a way for people to publish new adventures for AD&D 1E without having to say AD&D, because that's a trademark and you can't do that. So Matt Finch is a lawyer. I don't know if he still practices, but he went through all the copyright law and everything, and then was like, all right, we can do this. They actually had it printed. Stuart had it printed initially in the UK, because just in case they were going to get sued, it would be a lot harder to sue them in the UK. The first day they released it, the PDF had 50,000 independent downloads, unique downloads. So, and the very first edition of Ostrich, if you see the PDF, it really is just a reference sheet. It's not really meant to be a game. So then they started working on Ostrich 2.0 like right away. But once they kind of showed that, hey, you can do this, then like Labyrinth Lord came out. That was a BX style clone. And other games as well. Matt Finch also came out with Swords and Wizardry, which is a retro clone of OD&D plus the supplements. So of this plus the supplements plus like articles in the Strategic Review and like the stuff that was topical in the 70s and everything. But Swords and Wizardry is great too, by the way. So, but and that kind of spawned the whole OSR thing, because people were like, oh, we can publish this stuff and we won't get sued into oblivion. Cool.
Now, I can't claim to understand how I understand how the OGL dealt with third edition stuff, but I was never clear on the story on how it applied to all the stuff before that. But I guess it did, and that's never been challenged as far as I know, or at least not successfully.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I think the main thing is that the OGL allowed people to produce things with strength and whiz, dex, con, charisma, and use terms like armor class and hit points and like that kind of
the basics
stuff.
I'm not.
I don't know the details if it also included all the old stuff or before or whatnot, but yeah, they did it. So it's cool.
Well, it's funny you've mentioned his name at least twice or three times.
I'm kind of a fanboy.
So next Sunday, we actually have Matt Finch joining us.
Can I come? To the show?
Yes, you can come. Well, I to the show, but just to the show now.
No, I hung out with him a little bit at Gary Con. He's a really cool dude. Super chill. Very humble.
Very, very eager. So we can get the whole story next week. And,
okay, great.
From him and on how that all came about. Now, I have heard through different various sources that, of course, when they were coming out with third edition and they came out with the OGL, that the Chenault brothers did not like the direction that WotC, having acquired TSR, were going with it. So they decided to come out with Castles and Crusades. And we've had Stephen and even a brief appearance of Davis on with us. Of course,
dude, Davis in that chair with just his head levitating in the corner was the best thing ever.
It wasn't it?
Wasn't it? It was amazing.
Till we killed his computer. But at any rate, and hopefully we can get a little bit more backstory on that next week as well. There was a group of guys that weren't particularly fond of maybe the direction that Troll Lords were going, and decided that they didn't, because it was new and it had some new stuff. Oop, I'm getting a hum from somebody.
That's me. I'm doing my standing desk things. My lower back hurts because I cut down 6 trees in the last 3 days.
Oh, so. Yeah. How was that fence building, by the way?
It's actually hiring my neighbor to do it because he's got a construction company. So
go figure. Any rate,
it's getting done. Going to CNY.
Yeah. Okay, I see. You kind of cheated a little there, but that's all right. It's all good.
I may not. I followed the letter of the law, if not the
spirit.
Right.
Yeah. So in another life, you would have been a lawyer too.
Probably not. I do like to argue.
Yeah. Well, so. Me too. Any rate, but yeah. So when Matt's on, we'll get to ask everybody. So make sure you turn in next week because we are going to have him on, and I heard that. Yeah. Don't mind Dan's audio. He's an amateur.
My audio? What audio?
Yeah, you banging stuff around and.
I'm not banging anything.
Yeah. Never
Sorry.
mind.
I was adjusting
squirrel.
my mic
Don't
boom.
squirrel. Don't squirrel. Any rate, that's my job. My job is to squirrel.
Yes, your job is definitely to squirrel.
Well,
Speaking
okay,
of squirreling,
my job is to corral. So
yeah, thanks, buddy.
Heard
So-
the cat's in.
BX D&D. Okay, so basic expert D&D. So roundabout now I'm going to show myself to be in. I think it was 2019 is when Old School Essentials Classic Fantasy was first published. And it they're not making a secret of it. It's their goal was to reformat, but keep as close as possible to the original. What do they call it? The something like the world's most famous RPG. Like they don't say D&D in their books.
No,
I'm
they
sure
can't.
again for legal reasons,
Yep.
right? So they make no bones about what they're trying to do. Their goal is to reproduce BX as a retro clone, staying as close to it as possible, but cleaning up the format and making it presented in a way that's very accessible to new players.
I feel like Vanna White.
There you go. Is that their first printing from their first Kickstarter or something?
Yep.
Now, they have their product line is a little bit confusing. I think originally it came out in a series of thin books, right? 4 or 5 of them,
Yep, sure did.
like a box set or something.
Yeah, I actually
Where they broke things up into there was like a player section, a monster.
So, yeah,
treasure.
this is actually for advanced. They originally had, but it was a box set with books like these, right?
Right.
So little thin books,
And
which are fun. You can sling them around the table, but it wound up being kind of a confusing product line.
yeah, but originally again they put out I don't know if they called it Classic Fantasy. Did they originally label it Classic Fantasy for the first product? Okay, Classic Fantasy, because then. Which is again BX, and then later on they came out with supplement books, and then single or 2 volumes of the Advanced Fantasy, which strangely enough isn't. Hey, Angela, isn't Advanced D&D, but it takes a lot of inspiration from it. So it does. And we'll talk about these different forks and things in a little bit, but it's the same rule set, but it adds additional material. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the kind of unique features, because I don't even think OD&D had this, as I recall. I think OD&D did have different races, right? Mm-hmm. Separate from class.
Yeah, it did.
But basic Moldvay, and I don't know if I don't remember what Holmes had, if they were separated or not. But Moldvay Basic, which this is, BX, which this is based on, it had, what's called the race as class, or there was no separate race and class is a better way to say it. Essentially you had a fighter, cleric, thief, and magic user, and they were all assumed to be human. And then you had a dwarf, which was the race and class, elf, which was the race and class, and halfling. Yeah. So those 7 things are the categories you could play.
Which Holmes also had, by the way, dwarves, elves, and halflings.
Okay. So it started with Holmes in that arrangement. And then Advanced Dungeons & Dragons didn't have that. Advanced Dungeons & Dragons always had separate race and class, right? From its first edition to today.
Which is the correct way to play.
Well,
just throwing that grenade out there.
I agree.
I'm kidding. Play how you like. It's fine.
I always that's one of the reasons that I started playing BX and then quickly went into Advanced, and I didn't understand the distinction between them back when I was a kid. Right? Mm-hmm. It was just D&D, and this is Advanced D&D. That just must mean there's more stuff. Didn't understand there were these separate lines. But once I saw the separate race and class, I that kind of took the bloom off of Basic for me. I didn't really want to go back.
Same.
So it was more simplified with it being race as class. You were kind of it was more streamlined. Would you say even more so?
Yeah, I guess
it's simpler. I would say that. I mean, I started with Beckme, the red box, and we played that for a summer, me and my friends, and they were like, okay, well, this is the basic version for babies. We're not babies. Let's play AD&D.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
That said, it works perfectly fine. There's no real detriment to playing it that way. And I'm not one of them, but I know there are people that played exclusively with those, the basic or non-advanced D&D for years and years and didn't have a problem with it. The dwarf is basically a fighter. The halfling is basically a fighter, and the elf is like a magic user
Fighter caster, caster
combo.
fighter,
right. Now, so that's a major deviation. But is it does classic fantasy allow you to split? I forget. I know the advanced fantasy allows you to play with the race and class separated. But I forget if the basic one did. Because honestly, I never really use the basic one. I always use the advanced because it includes all the stuff.
Classic is just the erase size class. It's literally a retro clone.
Now there are a lot of folks that are proponents. Tenkar, for example, he is a huge proponent of BX. Not Beckmean. He likes the whole concept of basic as being basic for the first 3 levels, I think is what it does.
Basic technically is 1 of 3.
Yeah. And I mean, it's an excellent foundation.
Is it would you consider it a teaching or kind of a training for both players and DMs?
I would say both the 1981 and 1983 basic boxes were definitely angled towards teaching. The B2 module, which was in the Moldvay basic game, was I think
Keep on the Borderlands, by the way, for those.
Keep on the Border. Yep. Probably the most famous module, if maybe next to Tomb of Horrors. It was written as a teaching module, and
I think it actually so much as said so in there and had blanks in many, and there was a couple of them, right? Because was it one of the T series, like T1 or T2 or something like that?
T1's Village of Hamlet. That was also an introductory module.
Yeah. And there were some that literally had blanks in there where you were going to go design, what creatures were going to be in what particular given area. So, I've learned a lot from watching Daddy Roll to One and Mark is just, my God, that dude just delves so deep into the knowledge. And if you have 2 hours to watch him.
Well, his videos are actually shorter than you think because he goes over some background stuff at the end. So
real quick, because you mentioned the right ends, it's in the AD&D 1E Dungeon Master's Guide too. So like if you look at the artifacts section, artifacts had different level powers and there were blanks so you could write them in. I'm assuming this is showing up. I can't see my camera.
It's a little washed out.
It's a little washed out, yeah.
There we go. There we go. Too much light. Oh well. Anyway, it's in there. Trust me.
Yeah. So basically, if you use an artifact from that, you could generate your own unique version.
Yeah, like my Axe of Dwarvish Lords would be different from Cam's Axe of Dwarvish Lords, or my Orb of Dragonkind would be different from Cam's. Yeah.
Well, that also makes every game. Yes, B1 required the DM to stock everything. That's what I was talking about. I think that's kind of an interesting idea, particularly for beginning dungeon masters. They don't really do that. WotC hasn't done that at all, I don't think. Have they?
I would have no idea what WotC's doing.
WotC hasn't done what? I was reading chat. Sorry.
WotC hasn't really followed that kind of. Let's instruct them and let's get the DEM to actually craft or create their own or stock their own dungeons or their own.
AI doesn't need to do that, Jeff. AI can do it by itself,
Oh yeah.
Well, we won't go into that.
Hey, Dying
Breed.
Hey, Dying Breed. What's up, man?
So, but just to follow the Menser box set had kind of a tutorial module that came with it. That was kind of a playthrough. I think
it did, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also beloved for and the tragic ending of it, which I won't spoil here, but it does have a tragic ending, as I understand it. Which people are so angry about.
Are you saying people like the Gary and the old crew liked doing the
I think it gave people an idea about the consequences and the sorrow you might find in playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have my own copy here that I picked up. Unfortunately, it's not mine originally, but
no, my original Back Me is lost to the void. I lost many books when I was in college, and they were at home, and they were in my old room, which was a half basement, and it flooded. That sucked.
I think this was a pretty good deal. I think I paid $15 and probably got 10 or 20% off when I got it because there was a special thing that Coliseum of Comics back in Orlando was doing. But not too bad. I had to hunt them down. I had to go to like all their stores to do it. But
B2's great.
Yeah, I have the box set, the Mold Basic box set, like you have, Dan, and I have the Expert rule book, which they did sell separately.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the box. I wish I did. And then I don't have all that much from the basic line, but I do have B1, B2, and B5.
Oh wow!
In terms of modules,
I've been like grabbing the pods of them off a drive-through, like every now and again. Like when I, do an order, I'll like throw in a pod module just for fun because, like when I run stuff, like I'm a giant dork and treat it like a textbook, and I do like a whole bunch of highlighting, right? I would never do that to, an original.
Oh yeah, no.
But I'll do it to a pod.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I know Martin was fretting over his fold on his cover on one of his. I don't know if it was his B2 or one of them, but becoming weak and actually tearing, and kind of fretting on how to fix it. Now I had noticed one of the adventures he did. It looked like it had a yellow highlighting to it too. Was that something that they had? Are
you talking about the monochromes?
Yeah, that's what he called them, the monochromes. What's the deal with those?
That was the original. Oh, you probably can't hear me. So that was the original, like TSR was printing them originally. They were kind of like monochromy. So I've got G1. I've got two more. What else do I got? I've got G2 and D3. So, but I think they look cool. So when I find them for a reasonable price, I grab them. Like I actually grabbed these from a guy at Little Wars last month. So
yeah. So, any rate, but without diverging off onto the old modules.
Well, you're laying the foundation for the rest of the 2-hour discussion.
That's true.
Fine.
Well, why don't you bring up Necrotic Gnome's website, and we could just kind of take a look at it and give them some free advertising. Why not?
Oh, absolutely.
So as Jeff mentioned, it is Old Skool Essentials Month, which runs apparently from somewhere in the beginning of May until June 5th. So it's not exactly a calendar month, but
give me a second. I'll bring it up here.
And so they're celebrating they have a campaign on Backer Kit that's going on right now, which might interest people. It's an expansion called the Demonic Grimoire, which is I guess like a specialized monster manual kind of thing. It's all, but there's other things in there too. I guess there's some new classes and such, and it's basically about running, demon enemies. But within the campaign, you can also get the new edition of the books, which is coming out later this year. We mentioned that they started out with the classic fantasy, and then they went to the advanced fantasy, and both of those had different formats. Either one tome, 2 tomes. They had a separate players book for basic, and then they had the individual books. And it's been it was confusing to me. It's apparently been confusing to their customers in other ways. So they've decided that they're going to get rid of the confusion and just come out with one product line, which is coming out in the fall. And we could talk about the details of that, but you could see in the image Jeff's got there, it's the 2 front and center books. It's basically the player's book and the DM's book.
Right.
And this will be their unified line, but within it, you can play any style of what they've produced. So if you like the classic fantasy, which is strict BX, 99.9% BX, you could play that, or you can do their advanced version, which is not advanced D&D. It's BX plus, their specific fork of it. And then you could, there's other things you can get here too. They do produce adventures. They've got their own DM screen.
No, these are the new ones, right?
Yeah, that's going to be
those are the
new
updated
covers.
books. You'll notice it's just going to be called Old School Essentials. It no longer says Advanced Fantasy or Classic Fantasy.
Right.
It's going to have all of the rule. It's basically Advanced Fantasy, but they're going to highlight, if you want to run the basic style of the game, use these options.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because Advanced Fantasy layers in a lot of AD&D 1E type of stuff. It really became its own game.
I'd say, yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because it's very much 1E AD&D inspired is the way I would put it, because they have things like the Paladin and the Ranger, and they have race and class separated. Actually, they have it in the advanced books. They have them in both formats. So you could play a race class Paladin or assassin and all these other things. Now, I don't think they have the monk in there, though, do they?
No.
Okay, so they don't have everything, but they do have, for example, some things from the Unearthed Arcana, which is a late first edition AD&D book. So they have, for example, the Cavalier and the Thief Acrobat, and then they have some other races. They do have Drow you could play.
Assassin, Barbarian, Bard,
Cleric, right?
Drow, Druid.
Drow, really?
Duergar, Dwarf,
and a Duergar.
Elf, Fighter, Gnome, Half Elf, Halfling, Art Page, Half Orc, Illusionist.
I want to play an art page. How do I play the art page?
Illusionist, Knight, Magic User, Paladin, Ranger, Zerpneblin, got it, and Thief. So they've got, and then for all the race as class ones, they also have the, character races as an optional rule. So you can do race and class separate the way the game is awesomer.
Right. And they do also have other things like you can multi-class in this, which was a feature that they had in AD&D. I don't think there was ever any multi-classing in BX. Well, there wasn't in BX, and I don't think there was in BECMI either.
Not that I remember, unless they added it in CMI.
Okay.
Now it looks like there's 12 days left right now. It ends on the 5th of June.
Well, they're over half a mil.
So
yeah, they're doing very well. And they have unlocked. There's an adventure that comes
17,
with this.
Yeah, all 17
stretch goal.
Participants have met their funding goal. So
how many have you backed, Jeff?
Well, I'm thinking about it.
Okay. You haven't yet? That's fair. Because I know you're not really an OSC guy. So
I haven't played it yet. I could be, and I just don't know it yet. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why we're actually kind of doing this series, is to talk about the different options. I know, like Dying Breed said that he was in it. He doesn't have a problem with it. He just was never, that wasn't his thing. But apparently you sold him on Hyperborea. So
that's because Hyperborea is the best.
Well, yeah. I'm having fun with it. I'm kind of going to guess that all of these play similar.
They do. They very much do.
And very different, very similar to one another, and yet very different from something like 5th edition.
Yes.
Because 5e, which was great for getting a bunch of people into the hobby, also suffers from everybody's a superhero and let's maximize our builds. And instead of let's roll and play in about 15 minutes, so.
Jeff, could you go to so this is the campaign you can check out, and if you want to jump into there and get those books, I think you get them.
I'll drop the link in the chat for the backer kit. You can, and yes, you can get the as part of this the demonic grimoire. which kind of is a nod to some of the other stuff that happened. You know, you can get the new printings with part of that thing. So,
Right.
um,
And yeah, you can get some extras. With
a lot of extras. You can go all in on you want. Their pledge levels, I think. They've got a Lord of Hell, which includes a T-shirt. And
Yeah, guess which one I backed.
Is there one more expensive than Lord of Hell? I think there wasn't there?
No, there's not.
No, okay,
No.
yeah, well, then that's the one you went for.
I
Because that includes the new books,
well,
including the special cover.
you get the special cover and the regular cover and the new books, and like I like stuff like that personally because my special book will be for me, and the normie cover book can be for
the
like
table.
my friends can touch it.
Right,
Right.
right.
I feel you. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
They still can't use their Cheeto covered fingers though, right?
Well, luckily no one eats Cheetos anymore, but yeah, it's just like, I like the special editions look nice on the shelf, and I like to read them for me.
Jeff, if you would, could you go back to the homepage and then open the portion about the one that's labeled under Old Skool Essentials about Old Skool Essentials, and just kind of scroll down through there to give.
Let me flip it over to that one here. I'm going to change it to that one, and of course they're pushing it on their side, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, it's their, this is their thing. Of course, Exalted Funeral, and I had to look up. I said, what's the difference between Exalted Funeral and Necrotic Gnome? So Exalted Funeral is the U.S. distribution company that's partnered with them, I believe. Mm-hmm. Necrotic Gnome is the actual company that it makes it. So,
hi, Chubby.
So right at the top, there you go.
About, yes, we're gonna go to about.
Yeah. So we don't have to read this the whole way, but if we just kind of scroll through it, it does give a nice introduction for their game, and the background they're talking about, inspired by the classic games of the 70s and 80s and so on. And then it does explain a little bit, talks about the next section, how it's easy to learn and reference. And I want to get into this a little bit in a minute, showing some examples of that. But then, you can keep on going. Simple and robust rules, right? And this is of the school of rulings, not rules, kind of thing.
Next section, easy to learn and reference. Right. I see Delver. Hey, Delver, what's up, Bill? And then we got Chubby in the group here.
Yeah, Chubby first he's hearing of OSE, right?
Beautiful artwork.
And this is I'm sorry, real quick there. The compatible with. So this is something that I think might appeal to a lot of people. Is all of the early, well, let's say TSR D&D, it's largely compatible with each other, even if it's basic to advanced and things. It's not a huge deal to go between. And some people say, hey, there's this huge body of work and these classic dungeons and things like that. And so, obviously anything that's made for basic would be no translation needed to play with Old Skool Essentials. But even advanced ones, you could probably use them without too much. So that's one of the selling points of this. I'm sorry, Jeff, you can go down a little bit more.
It's okay. I had to put in some of the comments here. Delver.
Yes. Is he giving us raspberries? Is that
what? Raspberries, And
now here they talk about, this is the new, they're putting out the new core books,
right?
The unified line, which they actually have a FAQ or something where they talk about some of the other things that they're adding in. They are tweaking things a little bit from the advanced game, all to the good from what I'm seeing, and a few rules clarifications for things that might not be in BX, and right. They're adding in a little bit more explicitly, or saying, okay, this is the rule that we're going with as our standard. And then if you scroll down a little more, I think they talk about, kind of where they were with it.
Yeah. So this has been a bit of contention with some people.
Yeah.
And that are like, I don't understand why they're trying to get rid of the basic part of
Hey, Rich.
Expert. So what do you think? And they do address it, I believe, in that FAQ. They're talking about it, but some said, well, let's wait until we see what what actually is in it.
It really is about, like, some of the rules updates they're doing are really minor.
Yeah.
There's an article where they kind of like explain some of the stuff they're doing. I'm sure there's some OGL hangover related stuff, but realistically, I mean, OSE Advanced Fantasy is its own game.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
Classic Fantasy is the BX retro clone, but whose phone is ringing?
Well, let's get into that in detail. But just to address this, they're explaining here why they're doing that, because they did have all these different versions, different formats. I mean, it's really only two, the classic and the advanced, but the format thing threw a lot of people off.
The
They're
form
like,
factor was weird, and you can go on YouTube and you can Google or you can search for things like what version of OSE should I buy, and there's a bunch of videos that you can look at explaining the product line because it was not intuitive.
Right. And obviously that's a marketing problem, right? It's like, this is, we need to clean this up. So I think what they are doing is a good direction to go. Now, our friend RP Grandpa is a huge OSE fan, and he's running with that on his channel. He's got a lot of nice rundowns on what they're doing and why he loves it and such. So be sure to check out his channel as well. But I've completely lost my train of thought.
What's new?
How dare you?
They're cleaning it up and they're leaning into it being its own game. And I think part of the reason for that is because you can now get print on demands of the basic and expert mold they cook, books on drive-through. So
right. The other day, Dan,
is it drive-through or DM's Guild?
It's the same site.
Well, so yes and no. I mean, it's the same company that runs them. But drive-through lets you publish anything that you want for tabletop, whereas DM's Guild, I think, has some restrictions, and it's probably on. Well, I don't know. We'll have to go look. I'll go down that rabbit hole in here in a little bit. But go ahead and carry on, Kim. Squirrel.
And it is on drive-through.
Is it drive-through? Okay.
Yeah,
I think sure it's on DM's Guild too, but
DM's Guild may require it be 5.5 or something like that. I think I heard Joe Block.
I don't know. I don't go to DM's Guild. There's no point.
I don't either.
Okay. Now, and as you see here, you can download. They do have a page on the website here with a variety of downloads where you can check out different things. But one of them is a pretty solid starter where you can try the game if you like. And they have some other supplements, character sheets and things like that. And then these other pages we're going to show in a minute. But Dan, what you had mentioned that it's the new version isn't just a retro clone anymore, right? Neither was the advanced version because it was its own unique thing. But now they're, like you said, they're leaning into that a little bit.
Yeah. Right.
And I think it's a good idea because, like you said, we were having a little discussion offline about the BX and when it was available, and it's readily available today in different formats, whereas before, I guess you were saying that you could only get it PDF. It's only print on demand somewhat recently, right? For the original,
within like the last month.
Oh, okay, so it's that reason,
like 4 to 6 weeks.
Right, not everyone's so lucky as us to actually have hard copies from back in the day.
There are other avenues as well with my book that you can't see. Yeah, okay. I love this book.
So yeah, you could have gotten the originals, and you still can to do it, but this came up, and I forgot if it was did we bring it up on the Friday show or was it offline? Where it's like, well, what does Old Skool Essentials really? Is it worth it, or would you rather play the original BX in the format that it was presented?
I'd rather play Hyperborea.
Okay, we're having edition wars here. I thought Bill didn't like that, and Dan now.
Bill doesn't concern himself with edition wars because he just plays the best edition, which is AD&D 1A. Yeah,
right. Yeah. He very much said that, and you know what, Bill? Love to have you come on, man. You wanna pimp AD&D 1E anytime? We'll have you back on, dude.
Yeah,
we're looking for cheerleaders for the various systems.
So OSE really started leaning into being its own thing pretty much right out the gate because they started publishing Carcass Crawler zines. So they were adding classes and different rules and different races and all sorts of stuff. So they're just continuing down that path, and they really did it when they kickstarted I Am a Hyperhorian. When they kickstarted Dolmenwood. So Dolmenwood is like
It's
Gavin,
their own setting.
Gavin's like setting and world, and it's like dark Fey wood thing, but it's obviously very, very based on OSE Advanced Fantasy. There's some tweaks to it, like rolling high on your D6 checks is better than rolling low. But other than that, it's the same game. So
okay, the only thing I have for Dolmenwood is like the initial adventure. I think that I got back a few years ago. I haven't. So they've kind of developed it into its own standalone game, also separate from OSE, right? Even though it's
I mean, I can grab it.
Okay. Dolmenwood. Now they produce Dolmenwood. That is their. So they made it. It's its own game. It's not even.
They have their own core rule books and things, so they have some different classes and such.
Jeff, embiggen me, or at least get rid of the webpage. They've been reading the same paragraph for 10 minutes. See, there we go. That's Dolmenwood. Okay, it's pretty cool, but it's fun. I like it.
Yeah, like you said, it's kind of a fairy tale-ish.
No, not fairy tale. More like grim. Grimm's
original fairy tales were that way.
Right? But not
Disney. Not Disney.
Like, not Disney fairy tale. It's like you go into the wood, you can unembiggen me. We can just hang out, and it's fine.
Okay, so also on the page, so they did put out a list of the kind of their planned changes for the new version, which, like I said, I like it, and it's kind of convinced me to buy it, even though I already have multiple copies of the old ones. Like Dan said, you could pass those out to your friends, and it'll still work. For that. And you also mentioned the Carcass Crawler, which is their zine. I think they've got 6 issues now.
Yep, 7th one's coming this year with alternate spellcasting systems because Vancian is not the best. I don't know what the best is. I'll figure it out someday, maybe. But they've got alternate spellcasting. They've got Dampiers. They've got a bunch of undead in Carcass Crawler 7. There should be like an upcoming projects tab on the webpage that has that kind of stuff on it. Coming soon.
Yeah. So as Dan was saying, there is quite a bit of splat book kind of stuff. If you find you're a person who likes to have additional material that you can choose to put in your game, not required to put in your game DMs. There's a lot out there. And again, when in those books, they put out, like, there's a goblin class, for example. I don't care about playing goblins. Some people do, but you can also have it as a class and race separate, or separate races as well. You could be a goblin thief or a goblin fighter or whatever. So they kind of have been maintaining that double system going forward. And if you don't like it and you want to play the very classic BX, you can choose to do so. They're maintaining that ability. But my opinion is that the only thing I can think of that would recommend Old Skool Essentials or any retro clone, since BX books are readily available in reprint format, is the formatting. That and I think that's where and that's what I was trying to get around to, is Old Skool Essentials, I think, did an excellent job at taking, the BX, the Mulvey books are actually pretty good. It's not as hard to understand for most people as the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons first edition books, which
it's cleaner, maybe.
It's way cleaner. It's
laid out, and
Now,
I'm sorry you guys don't want to enhance your vocabulary by reading Gygaxian.
Honestly. I like Gygaxian.
Those are great books to read. Don't get me wrong, but I've always described 1E as a beautiful mess, kind of thing. Now, Dungeon Delver, who has been immersed in it front to back for decades, I'm sure he doesn't find it confusing at all. But an enterprising Gen Zer who wanted to delve into first edition AD&D might find it a little confusing, because again, like today, the player's handbook, you expect everything to be there that you would need for the player. But for example, the a lot of the rules that are in a modern player's handbook aren't in the first edition player's handbook. Like your saving throws, for example, I think and your hit tables and such. Those are in the DMG, and other various things about the basic mechanics. It was just a different way that they formatted it back then. I don't think the BX books have that problem because there was one book, in the basic set, and then you had the module, of course. But you could read everything in that one book. But Jeff, this is why I wanted to in addition to the content of sorry.
So Chubby has a good point in chat. I do not understand why people think OSE layout is amazeballs. As a person who does layout, it's decent. I mean, I would say it's better than decent. I would say it's quite good. I don't think it's the best layout ever, but
I think it's pretty clean.
Now he likes the Dolmenwood layout much better.
Who?
Chubby.
Yeah,
Chubby
I also
said,
like the Dolmenwood layout better.
So the question is, are they going to lay out the new OSE book? Or books, as it were, following that format?
Probably.
That's a good question.
I'd be curious to see, but I don't see why not.
But one of the things that some people have pointed to that they really like are the front and back cover pages. Because one of the complaints of role playing is you're flipping through books to try and find stuff here or there.
12 different books and.
Right,
and splat books,
different tabs,
player handbook, and the DMG, and the monster manual, and then you've got this other splat book, and the
you're talking about the printed end papers that actually have tables and rules on them.
Yeah, Jeff, can you bring that up? They have these as PDFs on their website as well, so this is
the end paper PDFs
on the up and up. But I wanted to show this as an example
because players weren't supposed to know. That's right.
Did you want me to bring up the PDF?
Yes.
Okay. Which one first? The classic basic rules?
No, that's the free one. Either of the other two.
Players rules tome?
Yeah, that would be fine. So these are the end papers, that are there's a classic, there is a players only version book, and then you have the whole book for the classic ones. But if you would show that full screen when you can.
Yeah, give me a minute. Let's see here. I got to switch it over from one to the other here. Window. Because it's not a tab. There we go. Share. And let me hide this.
Yeah, just scroll down to the next pages there. So yeah, okay. So there you go. It's got these, handy reference charts essentially. And there's stuff about turning or your saves are in here and hit charts and then in the DM ones they have things like
I agree, Agile.
Yeah.
So I do think OSC is going to get its game up to bit because of what they learned and did with Dolmenwood. At least I would hope. Otherwise,
they
why
probably,
go through the effort to reprint
I wonder if they got somebody, and I'd love to talk to these guys. I wonder if it's because they got somebody to help them with the layout for Dolmenwood, and it was very successful and has been getting. I mean, people like Chubby and whatnot have been praising that layout. Maybe they're putting that person or those people to work on doing this. So.
Maybe, it did come out later. So, but my opinion is that I think that the way that they format these things. I'm sorry, Jeff. Can you bring up the other one? Because for example, in the BX books, they do have it's like here's combat. Here's your sequence of combat. It's pretty clearly laid out in that section. But this one, for example, the end papers here, and this is replicated maybe slightly differently in their DMG screen, and then I think they have the content of the DMG screens and PDFs that you could download too if you wanted to paste it on your own cardboard or whatever. But it's like, okay, here's the steps, the highlights for these things. These are the checks you do when you're adventuring and, things you would quickly reference.
I love this right here.
That is giving you a page.
And
yes.
Just for the record, Jeff, Gavin Norman did the layout for Dolmenwood and for OSE. So It's the same guy.
Okay, but he might.
Maybe he's just learned a lot since.
I mean, it's been a while. Sometimes people learn things over time. At least they used to. Now that AI is coming out, no one will ever learn again.
Yeah, but okay. A lot of people like the formatting of this book compared to BX.
I objectively think that OSE is better laid out and better formatted than BX.
Right. And that's not a knock on BX. It's like, yeah, you've got all this time and all these games and all,
There's also
to draw
like
from.
40 years between the two of them.
Sure.
Like,
and even the example you're talking about, between this and Dolemwood, I'm assuming from what you said, I haven't seen the new format, that it's like, oh yeah, this is an even clearer way to do it, something else or a more attractive way to do it. The reason I'm talking about the formatting is kind of a negative, because if you want to play classic BX and you don't care about the formatting, then there's really nothing to recommend this product. Except for those two things, because you could get the BX ones, and I don't know what the price difference is between them, to be honest with you. But they're probably similar, because you can get these in PDF form as well without the hard copies. But that's why I think obviously they're going for, and this is the debate that started, between us offline, is, well, if they're not going to do their own version, this advanced or the new formatted advanced version, it's kind of done, because BX isn't continuing without new material, right? BX was done in 1983. They had Beckme instead, and once you put this out, that's all there is to it. Obviously, companies tend to want to sell new products, which I don't knock them for. That's what they're in business to do.
So somehow I don't believe Dan's statement here.
No, so I think you probably missed it. Chubby said earlier on, and I think it's an excellent idea, that it would be awesome to create a monster manual section of a player's book, but it's only like 25% accurate. So we've been memeing on the things you can put in the player's monster manual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was laughing at before, because I don't know if you guys know that, but I played with a guy who was constantly trying to out of game everything and cheat, I guess is the way of saying it. It's like, I'm going to memorize this so I can, get whatever advantage. And
I once had a player get so excited that I was using a Behir in a fight that he kept positioning his token so that it wouldn't get breathed on, because he knew it did a line of lightning. So at that very moment, that Behir suddenly had evolved to do conal frontal lightning attacks, and it was awesome. And now all of my Behirs do that.
Yeah. Actually, I think it was one of Martin's videos where they were talking about if you attack a jelly with lightning, it splits into 4 or something like that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
ochre jellies, yeah, they split when they get hit with like slashing weapons or piercing
weapons, which is great, and any DM should or GM should definitely mix up some things sometimes.
Well, since we're talking about OSE, now it's referee.
Oh, I'm sorry, referee.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with referee term. I'm okay with judge. What's the one I don't like?
Storyteller.
No, is it referee that I didn't like? Maybe it was referee. I don't know. Judge. I like judge. Judge is cool. At any rate, but they all mean the same damn thing. It's all whoever's running the game, and trying to be, as you would say, the final arbiter. So
I didn't say that. Gary said it, and the AD&D went TMG. So.
Agile brings up about the I portion, which is the immortal section, and I heard that kind of was where a lot of folks find it a deal breaker.
Yeah,
and I think even
Beckme without the I is rule cyclopedia. Like when they printed the rule cyclopedia, they're like, yeah, I guess that I was pretty bad. Let's not reprint that.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting you bring that up. The rule cyclopedia has, I don't know if it still is, it was available for print on demand.
It still is.
Okay, so I got a copy of that a few years ago. It's from when did that come out originally? About 1994, 93, 94 kind of thing?
Something 91.
91,
I think.
okay.
I thought.
You're probably right.
So Chubby has a question for me. Has his experience in my Gods of the Forbidden North game shaped his feelings towards OSE at all? Yes. I very much enjoy your game, and it has made me appreciate OSE more. Not that I didn't like. I always liked OSE, but I grew up on AD&D 1E, so I always kind of gravitated towards like the Osric or Hyperborea side of the house. But I really like Gods of the Forbidden North. It's awesome. I'm very glad that you're doing race and class separate, because that's
one of your picky things.
It's just stupid to me that every dwarf's the same, right? And like they fixed that in some of the carcass crawlers, because they add like, you know, dwarven brewmaster as a class and dwarven rune graver and like that kind of, so it gets a bit more interesting. But just base, like you know, races class is boring to me. So yeah. But no, I mean, like I've loved being in your OSE game. Please don't kick me out of the group chat. Thank you.
Judge,
it has made me appreciate it more. Specifically the advanced fantasy, because there really is a lot of AD&D 1E kind of like folded in.
Roger doesn't like Game Master. Wow. That's generally the go-to if
I'm indifferent on Game Master, because I basically always just say DM anyway. It doesn't matter what game I'm playing.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it's just it's a word that you can say without stepping on the feelings and the fifis of WotC, I guess, by using the term Game Master. Judge, I'm okay with. Umpire, Arbiter's cool. Referee seems a little too.
Storyteller is the worst of all of them.
Yeah. What does Call of Cthulhu use?
I should know this.
Deathbringer.
Deathbringer? What?
No.
No. That's by our buddy Dan, another Dan.
Right.
Professor DM. Coming out soon. That's coming out. Professor Dungeon Master. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to have him on and talk about that game.
I've reached out to him. I'm still working on it.
He's a big shot.
The Keeper.
The Keeper
of Arcane Lore, which is just a whole mouthful.
Yeah, what'd you just call it? The Keeper? Well, and Castles and Crusades, with the Siege engine, it's called the Castle Keeper.
Castle Keeper, yeah.
So, which is fine.
But no, I've played OSE Classic and it was fun, but I like Advanced a lot more. I really like Advanced in Gods of the Forbidden North just because that world is so cool, and I also really like Dolmenwood a lot.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure if I'd like it or not. I know I had seen a Kickstarter or backer kit some time ago that was, unfortunately it was for 5e, but I liked the premise of it because it was trying to bring the classic fairy tales, the way the Grimm brothers wrote them, to life as adventures. Yeah. And like I said, of course they were hitching their post to 5e because that was the big thing at the time. I suspect were they to do it again, they probably would hitch it to Shadowdark, because that's the big thing is a lot of folks know. Chubby would know that it's
Question for chat: when I see Dan and Jeff for the first time in real life at North Texas in 2 weeks, what insane things could I do to embarrass them? I have no shame, so that would
big
be hard.
hugs.
Yes. Hugs. No. Oh, that insane things. So that's
Death Angel Shadow.
What? Hey. Oh Lord. Dwarven Battle Rangers.
Okay, Jeff, one other thing I wanted to mention about our free advertising here is they are coming out with a starter set also this fall. So it's you could see that on the coming soon page if you want to pull it up. It's basically a 1 to 3 thing where you kind of mimicking the basic box set of the good old days.
They're also slowly with that starter set, and they started doing it in the Carcass Crawlers too. They're actually building out a world for OSE separate from Dolmenwood.
Okay, cool. And they do have a line, and you can see some of them here, upcoming ones. They do have a line of adventures, or modules, essentially, that are the
Yeah,
same.
They're really good too.
Yeah, I've got.
official. Look, they've got official scenarios.
Yep.
Yeah, they call them official adventure
Yeah, and
scenarios.
I like the way those are laid out too. I think they're there's the starter set there. Second one from the left.
Oh yeah, I think I had one of those images. It's in development, and I
Yeah.
said, well, that's something that we want to spotlight.
Click on that. So you can see, you got your blurb here. Again, not sponsored. So we're just doing this out of the kindness of our hearts for our loyal but small audience. And everyone here already knows about OC anyway, probably. So I don't know that we're reaching anybody, but
I'm just hanging out with the boys and occasionally saying how awesome Hyperborea is.
okay. Well, I have very little
I do
experience
like
with
OSC.
Hyperborea, but
We are playing tomorrow, aren't we?
No, we're not
No.
because it's Memorial Day.
Oh, okay.
So Jeff's yelling at me about not checking the Discord while the discussion
Jeff.
on the Discord going on about not playing tomorrow has been raging all day.
Because here I was, saying, well, I can't do 8 o'clock because I have a game tomorrow at 8 o'clock. But I am off tomorrow, so I could play
we could try to do something else. I just I'm not sure that everybody's going to be gone from Memorial Day grilling by the time we would normally start.
My wife is gotta work tomorrow night, so I'm gonna be playing it home alone. Just me. And
we have something around these parts called the Midwest Goodbye. So
oh, they have that in the South too.
Yeah,
but we claim ownership.
You claim ownership, okay?
Right.
No, that we do. Yeah.
You're not a native Southerner, are you?
Well, no, but I grew up here.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so
I guess you by extension, I'm a Midwestern by birth and Southerner by rearing, and God.
So if I was to, again, herding, sorry, if I was to take the comments that we've seen here, I would say that OSE is probably not on top of anyone's list from the chat for like favorite game.
Really? I haven't tried it.
I'll bet you it is. I'll bet you it is. I mean, it's.
Put up a poll, Jeff.
It's in my top 3.
Okay. Of all fantasy role playing games.
Yes.
Okay. It is my top OSR game.
Yeah.
And I guess I'd make a distinction between OSR and original, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't say AD&D First Edition is an OSR game. It is the original game.
It's just OS. There's no R.
Right.
And this message here, sponsored by Roger. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I need more subs. So it's an inside joke.
Well,
Jeff, what was really, really funny? Slight aside. I was hanging out with James yesterday, and he couldn't get in StreamYard the names that pop up the whole time we were on, and it was
how the tables have turned.
It was so funny.
I figured out. Well, see, they moved kind of where it at. Oh, look at that! I'm up by 2. Oh, woo. Inchworm. Yeah, but they kind of moved where it's at. StreamYard's been reworking a lot of stuff, and it's kind of driving all of us that are trying to be creators out here a little nuts. I think that's putting it mildly. So,
if I could sum up about OSE, my opinion is and like Matthew here says, OSE sounds worth a try. Yes, yeah. If you don't have any particular nostalgia for getting the original printings of things, and you're looking for I wouldn't say rules light, but rules moderate version of the game that is obviously very old school,
right?
And in a nice format and some options to go a little farther beyond that if you want. Old Skool Essentials is my pick for that. I don't have any other that I know of or have played that I like more. And I'm a big sucker for a nice product line, and I think they do offer a nice product line.
Yeah. How's the print quality on the books? Since you guys own them, I don't.
I've not had a problem. They are they're stitch bound.
Okay.
You know, they're not
stitch
glue
bound, printed end
Hard-
papers, ribbons.
hardcovers. Yeah.
Are they printing them through a POD, or are they actually shipping them?
No, I think they've got a regular printer.
No, they've got a printer that they use.
Okay, because Exalted Funeral, right, is the distributor in the U.S.,
Mhm.
possibly North America, and I guess there's probably somebody else that's over in Europe or the UK. And
Now, when I ordered my stuff, this is going back a few years, early COVID, I guess, probably. It took a while to get these things. You know, they weren't a quick turnaround. Have any of you guys, Dan, have you gotten anything from them recently? I think
From Exalted Funeral?
Yeah.
Yes, in fact, I did, and I was shocked. So over the last year or so, Exalted Funeral's been getting way worse and worse and worse with shipping times, especially after Black Friday. I did because they always have a good Black Friday sale, and I ordered something on Black Friday and it didn't ship until after Christmas.
I wonder if that's them or if that's the postal service.
No, it's them because the order wasn't even fulfilled. Like it didn't even get a shipping or tracking notification.
Okay.
And then they had this email and they were like, we know we've been doing bad with the shipping. We're hiring more people. We're working it because they use Flying Cloud Fulfillment to actually ship, which also a ton of Kickstarters use for their US distribution. So I don't know if they just got shoved to the back of the bus or what was going on. But I ordered something on Exalted Funeral like last week, and it got a shipping notification the next day and then showed up 4 days later. I was shocked.
Okay. Yeah, because my experience was that they were pretty slow.
Yeah.
And so that's good news. Hopefully that.
So it is. So do you have to order? I mean, isn't fulfillment from Necrotic Gnome through Exalted Funeral here
in the U.S.? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if they're,
it's funny because since we're talking about it, I actually ordered something for OSE that I wanted to try with my friends. It's called the Kalunga Plateau. It's dinosaurs and stuff.
That's a third party publisher for this?
Yeah, just a couple zines. They had a sale and they were like $10 for each zine, and I was like, I'll play Dinosaur OSE. That sounds cool. So
now Roger brings up. I had it up there. He says the dolmen. He wishes they were a normal physical size. So what's the deal with? What's he talking about?
Are they taller than the?
Are they the digest size or the?
No, they're letter size. I'm assuming they're letter. I've never really.
Well, I mean,
hang on. They might be bigger than letter.
They could be A4. They're A4.
Yep, they're A4.
That's definitely an A4 thing.
Yeah.
If they're literally twice the length, or the length is twice the width. That's all the A series stuff. Like A4 is twice A2 and stuff.
So what you're saying is the A system is the metric system of the book world.
It really is. It really is. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a European standard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
or
God.
Non-US standard, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah, they're A4. So
do you guys
my favorite book size is G5, by the way.
G5.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
what that would be.
G5 is the Forbidden Lands books. They're awesome. They're between they're bigger than A5, but they're not as big as letter.
Okay. Do you guys like digest size books? I kind of do.
I
Depends
think
on the
they're
game.
convenient, and for like for the adventures when I was running the Kremlin Keep of Kashmir, I thought it was fine. I also had the PDF. I mean, you know.
I think they're great to read, but they're not great to set on a table most times. You know, they compared to like the standard D&D size book. You know,
I mean, running an online game, I had the PDF for the adventure on one screen. I had the Shadow Dark books on another, and so. But if I was running at a table, you know, I think it would be maybe a little different. Roger's OCD is showing. That's what he's talking.
You know what though? I kind of get it.
I do. I've got some books, and
I've got a couple other A4 books. The some of the EMDT hardcovers, not some, all of the EMDT hardcovers. So like Castles in Tillin and Hevizhevska or whatever the name of their RPG is. They're all A4. They stick up a bit, and it's just like, man, now I can't like lay an extra book on top of all my letter books because there's like this little protrusion. But yeah, I mean, regarding A5, as long as there's not too many pages, because then it becomes hard to use.
Okay.
Agile's G5, baby. So
G5 is a great size for Bidlands. It's a great game. Yeah, and actually, funny story about that, Agile. When I was upstairs in my office and I built all those shells, I built them measuring letter books because that's the size books should be. So the couple A4 books I have, like Monster Overhaul and Dolman Wood, wouldn't fit, and I was sad.
yeah. Okay, so it's your turn, guys, now to tell me why I should do OSE versus something else first.
I think there is value and merit in playing a bunch of different games and learning what you like and don't like about them.
Yeah.
Yeah. OSE does a lot really great, specifically advanced. The classes are a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff you can play with in the carcass crawlers to kind of have different games. The thief skills, the D6 thief skill system they have in Carcass Crawler 1 is way, way, way better than percentile thief skills.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You like it more simplified?
Yeah, because they're actually usable.
Although now Hyperborea uses D12 in time,
which is
right.
I was trying to not talk about my beloved.
Oh. Okay, well I brought it up, so fair game.
That's fair. Yeah, but
it's basically a D6 system that's expanded to have more granularity, right?
Yeah, it's essentially a D6 system, just so you can. It differentiates between like generic skills that are on a D6 in Hyperborea and class skills that are on a D12. Plus, you get a bit more granular advancement, which is cool.
Yeah.
But
well, if we could get Talanian on to stout the virtues of Hyperborea, that would be pretty awesome too.
I'm starting. I know that I might get burned at the stake for saying this, but I like skills in games. So I was very accustomed to 3rd edition 3.5 kind of skills. And I know, Jeff, you and I have talked about that a little bit at other times.
I used to be really big into it. I loved the whole, and I loved the granularity of, what I was talking about with like 3rd edition or 3.5, where, there is a difference between hiding and moving silently and spotting and listening. And they, it's like you can hide and not be able to necessarily move silently.
So, but like OSE is missing things though that I think are important. So, for example, in OD&D and in Swords and Wizardry, which I also love, fighters can make a number of attacks against 1 HD. Okay, in Swords and Wizardry, it's 1 HD or lower. In OD&D, it's technically just under 1 HD creatures, but they can make a number of attacks each round equal to their level, which is awesome because if you're getting swarmed by a horde of goblins or orcs and you're like a level 7 fighter, you can just like take out 7 of them in one round. It's awesome. But OSE doesn't have that. The OSE fighter is very, very mundane and basic.
There are some options though in some of the carcass crawlers for fighters.
Yeah, there's one that has like some like combat maneuvers. I think that's 2. I have them here. I'll look for it.
Yeah. Of course, you can add some of these things in if you wanted to. There's no reason why you can't customize those things. But
yeah, and that's why it's a great framework.
Yeah. Okay, and that's a good point, Jeff. I think there's so much product out today, so many different kinds that there might be less of a tendency of some people to homebrew, but yeah, I was fully immersed in homebrew for over a decade, in my role playing. So it was second nature for me and my group. But I kind of like that. And that's why I like zines and these add-on things a lot, because I do like having a solid framework and then customizing it, to what you like. And I think having a solid system that's time tested. See you later, Advanced Fantasy Games.
Oh, hey, Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Sorry, I didn't. Yeah.
It's Carcass Crawler 1, by the way, that has the combat
Okay.
talents. So
Yeah.
it has things like Cleave and Defender and Leader and Main Gosh and Slayer and Weapon Specialist. So
Yeah, and you get to choose that at like 1st, 5th, and 10th or something. You know, you get a few of them over.
Yep, nailed it.
Yep.
1st, 5th, and 10th.
Hey, my memory's working for some reason. But what I was going to say about the skills is I'm kind of coming around, especially in an OSR kind of game, of having the D6 or D12 skill system. And, you know, a lot of the games like Lamentations use a D6 skill system. And I like how they do it, but they're very stingy with it. You know, it's like if you're not, what was it? It's not called the expert. It's the whatever the roguelike class is in Lamentations. You get a bunch of them. And then some of the other ones might have, like dwarves have one for like architecture or something. And I think Hyperborea does a little better, where they're sprinkling the skills around a little more broadly, and I like that. You know, the certain classes, like this class, that's what they do. You know, so they have.
So it gives you a little bit of a specialization.
Yeah.
To a class,
right?
But
not just for
over.
thieves, you know,
not just anybody can take this skill.
Right.
Anybody. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So yeah, and I'm a big fan of classes feeling distinct. You know, and that's one of the problems if you get too simplified. It's like, a fighter and a ranger. Well, what's the difference? Well, the fighter track or the ranger tracks. Okay, you know, it's like, does that need to be a separate class? You know, I'm simplifying things a little bit, of course, but I like having the little snippets of things to make the class unique or a little bit of interesting. Something they can do. And I think that the D6 skill system is a good compromise of throwing those things in without making it too complex.
Right. Okay. So what would you say that the downsides are to OSE as opposed to the vast number of other systems out there?
Well, it used to be very confusing on the product line, but they're fixing that.
Okay.
I'd say that's probably the biggest one.
Well,
go ahead, Cam.
I would say, you know, okay, is it safe to say that Shadow Dark is the most popular OSR adjacent game out there, and you know that has some of these modern feel bits to it? And my point is, some people might prefer that. You know, maybe we wouldn't because we're older, but someone coming off of someone coming up of 5e might prefer Shadow Dark to something, you know, like
Shadow Dark's a gateway drug into good games from 5e.
Okay.
All right. Chubby asks a good question. How many people are actually using Dwarven architecture? Well, you know, in the adventure pillar, I could see that coming in handy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing like old school dungeons where they'd have sloped floors to like lure you down into deeper levels of the dungeon where the harder monsters were, and I got those players. They didn't realize they went down from level 1 to level 6. Now they're screwed.
They didn't have a dwarf with.
And no one thought to bring like marbles.
Or no, is it gnomes? Gnomes and dwarves both have that ability, right?
I don't know. No, gnomes are terrible and shouldn't exist.
Yeah, but
neither should halflings.
Don't let Jeanette hear you say that.
No, gnomes are terrible. Gnomes are awful.
You tell her that, and she might hit you.
I also don't like elves.
Don't like elves?
No.
Well, a gnome is what you get when you cross an elf and a dwarf, right? Gross. Okay. Anyway,
ew.
So I thought it was a 12.
Okay. The thing about the architecture. So in you know BX or something, they had their, I forget what it was called. You know, they can notice stonework or something, right? You know, and so in Lamentations, they just turned it into this skill that they called architecture. You know, kind of, right. and they're less explicit about it. So they, you know, to be honest with you, I know our friend Matt really loves Lamentations, and the game was fun when we played it. But to me, I don't see what it offers in terms of the game mechanic, you know, over something like OSE or BX or whatever. Right. It seems to be, I don't know. It nothing stood out from it a particular interest to me. The setting could be interesting. You know, the theme of it is I think what gets a lot of people into it. But in terms of the game rules, it seemed like any other, you know, basic.
Every dungeon should have something like that.
I don't know about every dungeon. What if your dungeon is like,
a crypt or something?
Well,
not like an architectural thing, but I think it's good to have a variety of challenges and things in a dungeon when you're designing it to.
Okay, but isn't this just an extension? Okay, so if you didn't have that on your sheet and you're a dwarf and you just decided, hey, dwarves like stone, hey, what do I know about this, right? That would be rulings, not rules.
Yes.
The fact that you have a rule doesn't eliminate your ability to say, hey, I'm a dwarf and I have this architecture skill and I want to learn about what can I discern from that about this cut stone, cavern or whatever.
And I think you mentioned Matt.
I
Yeah,
like
Shadow Dark. I think Shadow Dark's fun. It's easy to run. How would you have either of you run Shadow Dark at all yet?
No.
Oh yeah, a bunch.
Okay. Well, how would you compare? Now Dan, you've run OSE, right?
Yeah.
So how would you compare the two?
Oh my God, you're gonna make me go on my Shadow Dark rant.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Shadow Dark in the core book. I do ask that. Shadow Dark in the core book is so hyper focused on the dungeon crawling, getting loot, going back to town, carousing and getting drunk cycle that it basically omits other parts of the game. Like, yes, I know there's like a very small page on like generating hexes and that sort of thing, but there's no like procedures for a brand new DM to like, really teach them how to do stuff outside of the dungeon. But that it's a dungeon crawler, that's its focus. I like to do more than that in my games. So, and I realize that a lot of that was added in the not carcass crawlers, the curse scrolls.
Yeah.
But when I'm running a game, I don't want to have 7 PDFs open. I want 1 or 2. That's it.
I think a lot of people pointed some of that stuff out about having to search different places for certain rule sets, because Kelsey herself was asking about new DM or GM screens for Shadow Dark, and a lot of people pointed out, I don't want to have to go look multiple places for stuff.
Yeah.
So
and I think Western Reaches will fix a lot of that.
I think it will too. I think I'm very eager to see it. I think it's a little overdue, but
like, I mean, I've been the forever DM for my friends for 30 plus years at this point. So when I was running Shadow Dark, when they weren't doing dungeon crawling stuff, I would just kind of reflexively fall back to, the procedures in this for like hex crawling and that sort of thing, or like encounter ranges and whatnot. So
Dying Breed, he likes he will allow dwarves, elves, and halflings, but only because most players would revolt. He prefers human only. So he seems like an ideal candidate for Hyperborea then.
So in my homebrew world, because people at various points have complained about my human supremacist and dwarf supremacist views, elves exist, but they're basically NPC only eco-terrorists and get killed on sight. And halflings are the cursed offspring of dwarves that are cursed to have no beards and are worthless and exiled.
Dark.
Okay.
And there's no gnomes because gnomes are dumb.
I am hard pressed to justify gnomes and halflings.
All right, I have to give a shout out because we're coming towards the end of this session.
We are,
because I know. Well, yeah, it's 10:30 already. Cam's going to have to jump soon, doesn't he? For another show here. So I want to make sure that I bring up this because, and I should hide this here. Let me hide Dying Breeds. We have this coming up on Tuesday. And it's going to be not just on my channel, it's going to be on multiple channels. We were talking earlier with Agile. This is launching on Tuesday, and this is not a rule system. This is his Zendria setting and consortiums, and it's going to expand a lot of things. And so we will have Agile on with us for an hour. But he's also going to be on with a bunch of other streamers. He's going to be on with Roger at one point. He's going to be on with the Trolls, the Troll Lord Games guys earlier on in the day. So he's going to be a busy man that day. So everybody, try and tune into all the channels. Make sure you subscribe to all of them, but especially mine because I've got to beat Roger. So But at any rate, I just wanted to bring that up. That is going to be on Tuesday, and it's going to be at 7 p.m. So it's a special event. Let's see here. I got the list somewhere here, but it's not handy right now. So any rate, but any rate, any questions from the chat or comments? Anybody want to share what they like, dislike, etc. about it? We'd love to have some other input on it.
And I really do like OSE a lot. Like I
Yeah,
said,
when
it's
you're not
tough.
slamming it, you're just
No.
yeah.
I like OSE Advanced Fantasy a lot more than Classic
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
because it's more fun.
Okay, good. Let's see here. Oh yeah, Roger's like, it's gonna be a great Tuesday. It is. It's gonna be a great Tuesday. And let's see.
But like,
here.
where is it on your list, Cam? Is it your number one?
For all games or for it
Oh,
is for the
do both.
OSR. It is
Yeah.
for the OSR
Okay.
realm of things.
All right. So where is it on across all games? Like, what's your favorite game?
Whew. Again, I'm going to get crucified for this, but if it was you can only play one game, I think I'd still go with 3.5 D&D. But
You're allowed to like things. It's okay.
yeah, I played it for a lot of years. I loved it, and I do also really like first edition and basic, but I've not been able to play first edition for a long time. So maybe if I was fully immersed in that, it would rise to the top. But as of right now, 3.5. But that said, a lot of bloat and things I don't like about it. So kind of, I would probably ideally prefer a slimmed down third edition type of game.
Roger is said he's going to be talking Tuesday on his regular show about culling your RPG collection. That sounds kind of like you, Cam, where you culled your tabletop your board game collection, just so you can make room for more tabletop RPG stuff, right?
It is
Working that way.
I've got quite a archive of RPG stuff too. When I start to dig into it, it gets pretty big.
Hey, you want to send me any stuff? I'm trying to rebuild a collection here. And
What do you need?
Bit by bit. What do I need? Are you trying to get rid of some stuff?
I mean, I cycle through things.
Yeah.
I keep most things, but there's like many
whatever
years
I
of,
don't
many
have.
years of acquisition. Now I feel like I'm approaching this stabilization where sometimes things come and go. Still, may more come in, but I have not yet reached the purge.
I'll tell you
end
what
of the curve.
I really miss having. Speaking of 3.5, I miss my Forgotten Realms books. I particularly miss the Forgotten Realms campaign setting book, and a lot of the books that covered the various areas outside of the Sword Coast, because that was one where and I'd love to get some 2E stuff for that as well.
2E had some good Forgotten Realms.
2E had a lot of great Forgotten Realms stuff. So.
Yeah.
So if anybody's wanting to ditch it, hit me up, man. I'll take it.
I don't think I do have I have about 3 of the Forgotten Ones. I have the main campaign book and then the Magic supplement, and maybe I think they had like a players focused book.
Yeah,
came out maybe a year later. Those because I wasn't a Forgotten Realms guy, but they excellent books though. They really were very well.
And see, I was a Forgotten Realms guy.
Dark Sun.
I did a lot of
Dark Sun and Dragonlance.
Silvery Moon. I had the Silvery Moon book. I had.
I have a couple of them.
All of the stuff.
I don't have many.
So
honestly, I don't. I there's not much role playing stuff that I want to get rid of.
Yeah.
Not yet.
All right, Dying Breed, man, you take care, and we'll have you on the show again soon, I'm sure. What's coming up tonight? Because I see Staub throwing his snide comments out there.
Yeah, we're gonna see how many viewers we can drive away, because we're gonna talk about episode 5 and 6 of Amazing Digital Circus.
I heard something about it getting leaked or something. Something got leaked from
the final movie. has allegedly been leaked.
And they know who did it. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
But
I'm like, it's you like it, right? And Snob likes it. You guys like it?
I think I have the potential to like it. This last episode or last movie or whatever can turn into a pile of crap. Maybe it's like I'm holding out that they bring it home. But I don't know. I think it has potential to be as a whole good, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, the Top Lofty Lounge is coming up in about 23 minutes.
Yeah.
And I said show it. Why are you not showing it? Oh, there it is. And you can go jump over here. I got this QR code up in the upper left-hand corner.
we totally should have had James on for this one, by the way, but he's probably been asleep for like 2 hours at this point.
He had his dinner at 3:00 and went to bed.
Yeah. Well, RP Grandpa, he's
throw his link up though, because he does have a lot of videos on OSC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good dude.
Yeah. We're looking forward to seeing. Of course, Dan and I are both going to be at CNYCon,
North Texas and CNYCon
and North Texas. Yeah. So
it's gonna be a good 2 weeks.
It's gonna be fun.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Representing Roger. So.
Yeah. Is that his shirt? Yeah. Oh, look, somebody scanned the QR code. Yeah, so tune into that. Wednesday, we kick off season 4 of Babylon 5 retrospective as well. Also on my Snobs channel.
I forgot I usually watch on Monday, and the holiday's going to throw that off.
Oh, you usually watch it a couple days. See, I usually watch it before, but now we're going to be an hour earlier, right? So we're actually going to be on at 10 Eastern.
Correct.
For old people like Chubby out there, so they can tune in.
He's younger than you.
He's another one that goes to bed at he's the reason why our buddies Matt and Gary moved their show a half an hour earlier. but at any rate, yeah, definitely check out the Top Lofty.
Yes, I did, Greg. That is on its way to me, and after I read it, you can totally also read it and borrow it and whatever. But yeah, when I saw it for $43, I was like, oh, yoink.
Speaking of streaming, Dan, I don't know. James went on for like at least another half hour after you got off yesterday.
I know. 50 minutes. He just
50 minutes. Okay, yeah.
He was cracking me up. I love that dude.
I gotta go. 20 more minutes.
Yeah. So, Greg, I saw you on that stream with Angelo. You guys kept on going and going, although he finally cut it off about 3 hours.
The one Angelo did the other day?
Yeah. He's and of course I only cut the last part of it because I was at a concert seeing Jackal, and that was totally awesome.
How was that?
It was. I've got the Lumberjack song. I got it recorded on my phone, but I didn't want to sit there, and you know what it's like holding your phone up and then you're that guy. And
I never understood why people feel the need to record concerts on their phone. The audio is terrible. It just gets drowned out on phones for the most part. Just enjoy the concert. Be there and enjoy it as a human observing an event that is occurring right now with you in it, as opposed to watching the event through your phone screen while you record it. That's dumb.
That you'll never watch.
Right.
I have watched some of mine. I have them. I have them on one of my other YouTube accounts, and they're not public. They're not private, but they're not public.
So they're unlisted.
They're unlisted. Yeah.
Okay.
So I can share the links to.
I have an unlisted video of me testing the muzzle flash of various firearms in the middle of the night up in way northern Wisconsin, where it's super dark, and the 454 Kasul Super Red Hawk Alaskan totally wins. It's awesome.
Did you have a musket rifle too?
I had all sorts of stuff. My buddies and I were just shooting.
I remember the first time I heard a musket rifle go off, and of course they were only using powder.
A musket rifle? You mean a black powder rifle?
Oh yeah, black powder. Well, it was a musket. It wasn't even a rifle. It was a musket. I mean,
okay, smooth way.
Yeah, no ball in it.
Of course, Roger.
But Dan, thanks
So.
for representing. Yeah, I've got to order some shirts too. They should be able to get
I
them.
like the fact that you can get them in tall sizes because I am fat. So thank you.
I got to talk to him about how he got that.
I'm going to have the FOMO with all you guys going to these cons.
The OSE shirts that they have on Exalted Funeral are not in tall sizes.
Cam,
And
anytime you want to come to one, I'm working on SmokyCon here. If you caught at the very tail end of the credits for my intro, when I have to get the copyright notice now, I've officially been able to put up SmokyCon Productions now. So
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so it's a come. I didn't change the outro though, so I gotta go back and change the outro. That's a pain in the butt one because I did that with Final Cut or whatever, Shot Cut or whatever the hell it was.
Shotcut is the open source one. Is that what you were using?
It was before I used before I started using DaVinci, and
I haven't used DaVinci.
And the problem is that there's no easy way to take from there and put it over there. So, but at any rate,
Cam, you should come to CNY.
Yeah, like I said, I'm getting the FOMO about it, but I don't know that I can swing it at this point.
Oh, come on. Just fly into Syracuse. It'll be great.
Yeah, I'll pick you up.
Well, that is a little sweetener, but we'll discuss offline maybe.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on Friday's show?
Friday show. Oh, we got a list of topics, including one that Agile came up with. He wanted to. You want to
talk about clerics?
No. Well, I got the first thing. Let's see. Where did I write it down?
I will do my standard hangout for an hour and then go to Bill's game.
Let's see. Well, of course. What do you play? What is your favorite? Yeah. Well, we're gonna talk. We're gonna hit up a whole bunch of topics. If anybody has any suggestions, by the way, look, Roger's trying to get you to come to CNY, Cam.
I know. I hear is it the con of the year? I don't know. Might be.
Agile. Well, now I can't use. There is a Rocky Top Game Con, but they're all focused on mostly Warhammer and what is it? Star Wars. What's the one like Warhammer? I always forget the name of it. The Star Wars that's like Warhammer with the big ads. Legion.
Yeah.
And all the tabletop stuff was far and few between and relegated to the upper area. And now the city of Knoxville is turning that into a children's museum. So they weren't allowed to, they lost their venue and now are hunting for another place. And
I used to play Star Wars X-Wing.
More power to them though. Yeah, this was not X-Wing. This was not X-Wing. This was it was like I couldn't tell the difference other than the models changed from Warhammer models to Star Wars models. Still in these and that was the bulk of
so
it.
Before Cam has to run, I want to ask Cam an OSE related question.
Okay.
Do you have any cool non-necrotic gnome supplements that you like for it?
No, I haven't gotten any third-party stuff.
Really? Okay, because that's one thing that I really like about OSE. There's obviously, since it's based on BX, there's a ton of, but there's just an awesome amount of material you can get for it. So
I take that back. I do subscribe to the D12 zine. It's an Australian production, and he has done quite a bit of stuff for OSE.
Okay.
So and actually, it's available for free. I support his Patreon, but he does put stuff out for that, and he's just pretty good. It's not exclusively for OSE, but sometimes he does like focus on OSE stuff.
Yeah. So I'm a sucker for monster books.
Okay.
And Tome of Essential Horrors 1 and 2 are great.
Interesting. Was one a special cover?
Yeah, this one was actually kickstarted, and this one I think was just a pod. So.
All right. Well,
books are great.
Tomorrow is Memorial Day. Everyone be safe out there. Absolutely do not be like somebody I know and drink and drive on Memorial Day. And if you are a veteran, thank you so much for your service. We definitely appreciate it.
Agreed.
We we all are in America, at least, live free and have the freedoms we do because of the sacrifices that some many gave, and some gave everything. So
All gave some gave all is what you're looking for.
yeah. Well, I was trying to paraphrase it in my own words, but at any rate, I was not fortunate to serve, but I do have my foster brother was a career Army. He retired as a master sergeant. My dad was in the U.S. Air Force, sitting in a missile silo during the Cuban Missile Crisis. My grandfather on both sides were in World War II. So I have a lot of family that did. My uncle, of course, served in Vietnam. So, any rate, so God bless America. God bless everybody. We owe them all, and we definitely appreciate it. And Agile Monk has a great thing where he's giving badges to veterans for.
Do you have for EggCon?
He's doing it for EggCon. I think he's got something going on as well with Roger for CNYCon, and it looks like Chris is trying to do something for DarkCon too. And Chris is a vet too, so thank you guys all for your service. We really do appreciate it, and I know you hear it, and it kind of sounds trite sometimes after a while, but we do appreciate it. So, with that, everybody, be safe, and we're going to kick the credits. And tune in to Top Lofty here in about 12 minutes. So
have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Stay safe. We'll see you.
Bye.